Welcome to Illustrated Beard, brought to you by the Fantasy Shop, best in comics and games since 1981. I'm Jason.
I'm Nate.
And tonight we're going to review some comics. I have chosen as my comic Constantine #4,
Breath of Bones, A Tale of the Golem #1.
the Thor God of Thunder trade, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's been the best Thor story I think I've probably ever read.
Breath of Bones, A Tale of the Golem #1 of 3 on Dark Horse Comics by Steve Niles. This book is awesome. I've been really excited for it. For those of you who don't know, a golem is a creature from Jewish folklore. It's traditionally kind of like a Frankenstein story, where a very pious rabbi uses the Hebrew language to bring life from dirt. Right. And the moral of the story is always that, like, man should not play God. The golem is always, like, really stupid, and it can only do, like, heavy lifting, and then it ends up, like, stepping on the rabbi and crushing him. What I saw when I was flipping through previews is a golem punching a bunch of Nazis, and I was like, okay. So I was awaiting it for a long time. First issue's here, and I was pretty impressed. There is no golem in this issue.
Yeah, that was actually kind of a negative thing for me, because the cover is really misleading. You see this big monster golem punching Nazis, and we can all get behind Nazis hating like that, I think is okay.
I think it's even better the fact that it's a monster from Jewish folklore that's fighting Nazis.
Yeah, but it did have a really good narrative, and it's only 3 issues, but this book definitely is more of an intro than anything else, kind of just setting up the world.
I see where Jason's coming from with that negative critique. I don't know, it got me excited because I was like, whoa, there's no actual golem fighting. Like, the golem does not come to fruition in this issue, and there's only 3 issues in this series.
Yeah, the action in the book comes from the war.
The main character's a little boy living in this small village, and, I mean, really this story is how he's gonna get this golem. But the reason I felt like that was kind of a positive thing was it got me excited because I was thinking, okay, this was a really good story. I think that they know what they're doing with it. If there's no golem in this, and there's only 3 issues, I better be ready for some insane, awesome stuff coming the next year.
The book is phenomenal. The relationship between the grandfather and his grandson, the grandson's father is going off to fight in the war, and they don't know if he'll ever come back. In fact, I think there's even a moment where the grandfather says he probably won't come back. That became like, you know, just what drives the story forward. Yeah. The relationship between the grandfather and his grandson, and it works. Like, it really it tells a good tale, and it sets up what'll probably be a really awesome 2nd and 3rd issue for this book.
Another thing is it's all in black and white, including the very sparse advertisements that you get with a Dark Horse book. I liked that, actually. I didn't know it was going to be in black and white. Every now and then it's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, I like to dig the black and white titles, for sure.
I like to see all the little cross-hatching and, like, all the inking and pencil work and stuff. I like it. Yeah. I don't like it all the time, but there's some titles where it works really well, and I feel like this is one of them. Breath of Bones, Tale of the Golem. It is only a 3-issue miniseries. It's $3.99. Pick up the first issue. If you don't like it, then you're not really making a commitment. It's only 2 more issues. Right. And if you do like it, it's not going to hurt your wallet. Right. But it's good, and I expect the next 2 issues to be really good.
So. Yeah, fantastic book for sure. My review is Constantine #4. They have brought in Papa Midnight into the Constantine story, and those of you who are fans of Hellblazer will remember Papa Midnight. He was not a frequent character. In fact, he was more often than not infrequent. He was frequently infrequent. and most of the time, the reason Papa Midnight was in old Hellblazer stories was because Constantine needed his help for something. If you don't know, Papa Midnight is a voodoo necromancer mob boss.
Yeah, he's a voodoo crime lord. And you definitely get the vibe that he is, like, probably like the only match to Constantine that you really see.
Yeah, he definitely is a match for Constantine. He's one of those guys that he's scary good at what he does.
And he's evil, too, and Constantine's not evil.
Yeah, he's a completely brutal, evil mob boss type character. One of the things that has been coming up a lot lately with Constantine in the New 52 universe is taking him out of the Vertigo world and putting him straight into New 52. Is it going to be the same book? Is it going to carry the same weight Hellblazer did? When the book was announced that it was going to be this and Hellblazer was going to be canceled, that was a huge topic of conversation in our store. It was how good is it going to be? Is it going to be worthwhile? And I said after issue 1 that I think it felt very much the same kind of John Constantine, but it is no more relevant than when we meet Papa Midnight and realize he is just as brutal.
He's very similar to how I remember him.
I mean, there's some imagery in the book that is very adult, so yeah, definitely.
Especially for a title from the Big Two, I didn't even really think about that. Yeah. And I think the reason it didn't occur to me is because I read so much Walking Dead.
We kind of become desensitized to that kind of brutality.
It's not so much that, like, I'm desensitized to it, like, it's still like, I'm still like, oh my. Oh my! I don't know why it came out that way,
But it did.
but I didn't stop. Yeah, it was kind of a surprising amount of brutality for a Big 2 title.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite elements about this story, aside from all what's going on with Papa Midnight, which is completely awesome and definitely worth a read, is this is what Constantine is doing on his day off.
Yeah.
Like, he starts out the book like he's taken a sabbatical day from some of the other adventures he's been getting into. He just gets back into the States from London, so he's had some crazy stuff.
Sabbatical days are every day for Constantine, though, I feel like.
But that's what becomes the funny thing, is he gets embroiled into this big thing with Papa Midnight, and even at the end of the book, like, I mean, he looked at it as his day off. Yeah. Which became a very funny element to me, like, if this is his day off, what does he do on his work days?
It's very classic Constantine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sardonic.
Good word drop. Yeah, thanks. There's also some of that unexplained magic that we've come to expect out of Constantine in the Hellblazer world. We haven't really seen too much of it in the New 52 Constantine title, because the magic he's been using, I mean, if you've been reading Justice League Dark,
more overt.
It's something that he is summoning. They're showing him doing it.
To me, that's actually that's my negative thing with the New 52 Constantine. Yeah, he does that in the Hellblazer world occasionally, but Constantine is all about how did you do that? Like, you don't see any sparkles when he casts whatever spell he casts.
Right. Like, how do you do that?
We got to see some of that, and it felt very Hellblazer for sure.
Yeah, definitely, it's unexplained. I mean, it's just, click, this happens, you don't know how it happened, but you don't need to. It's Constantine, that's who he is. So those are the reasons to be reading Constantine in New 52, those are the reasons to pick this issue up. I mean, it was just a fantastic read from beginning to end. It definitely, I think, has solidified its position as a good replacement for the Hellblazer book. And
a comment I'd like to make, I don't know, when we reviewed the first issue, I had said, like, his motives seem to change and to be a little more fit for the superhero world. In reading this issue, it's apparent that his motives haven't changed, but I still feel weird with him in the superhero world. He makes a direct comment about that.
If you're a fan of John Constantine, it's going to make you smile.
Yeah, it'll make you smile, for sure.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Yes, he is in this superhero world. Does he care? Not really.
Yeah. Is it the same Constantine? Almost. Is it the same feel as Hellblazer? Almost, except that Superman and Batman are in the same world. I mean, like, yeah, it's really close. It's a lot closer than I thought, and it's very good. It's a good book.
Well, yeah, and we have yet to see those superheroes pop up in this book, and I don't think that we will. I think that's the point of this, is to show John's life.
I think maybe with the Trinity War we'll see some.
Yeah, Constantine is going to be a tie-in book to the Trinity War. He's tied into the magics of the world, like characters from the DC Universe like Zatanna, and some of the other magic-using characters that are appearing in Justice League Dark every month. But I think once we get done with that big crossover, we'll return to what this book essentially is, and it's a story of John and the world around him and how he affects it and the things he has to do to keep things in balance, you know?
This was very much an issue of Hellblazer.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was
really did feel that way. Yeah. So, yeah, Constantine #4 from DC. Check it out. It's on my shelf now. It's great.
The Skeptic recommends it.
And the trade, finally, yes, the trade we're going to be reviewing is
Thor, God of Thunder.
Thor, God of Thunder.
Vol.1 The God Butcher.
The God Butcher. I've always said that I'm more of a fan of Thor as a part of the team.
Honestly, like, I've never really been a fan of Thor. As an outsider from Marvel, before I got into superheroes to the extent I am now, before that it was kind of like, I really liked Captain America. And that was kind of the extent. Every time I liked a superhero, I felt like it was an exception to the rule or something like that. This book convinced me. Like, Thor is awesome. Team or no team.
This is the best solo Thor story I've ever read.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that, too, from Thor fans. This book is awesome. It starts out like a murder mystery. This is Thor as a detective, at first.
And the coolest thing about this, and I think we can both agree on this, is the time travel element to it. We are told a story of 3 versions of the character. One, he's living on Earth with the Vikings, and he is their champion. In the middle there, we are told of a tale of the Thor that we know, the guy with the hammer that works with Captain America and the Avengers and all that. And then we go really, really far into the future, where Thor is the last god of Asgard in the Pantheon.
One-eyed and with an arm of the destroyer.
Yeah, and that was just, he very much looks like Odin. He's got a big beard. He's wearing Odin's armor.
He's awesome.
Eye patch and everything. It's beautiful. And it's all really, really amazingly drawn. Beautifully, beautifully illustrated.
Jason Aaron, the same guy writing Wolverine and the X-Men. Same dude who wrote The Other Side.
Fantastic writer.
He's very good.
Bringing a really, really good thing to the table. But I think what makes this story so intriguing to me is the God Butcher, he exists in every time period. He's been a constant antagonist to Thor. And when you start seeing it through the ages and you start seeing how the different Thors have dealt with this, it's just really amazing, you know.
The story writing is pretty intrinsic. Like it's it's told very much in like it's jumping from timeline to timeline, telling one story, and we're seeing it kind of unfold.
It kind of has a mirror to society type of thing, because the God Butcher is that character who challenged the gods. He questioned why we follow these deities. It's something that we've all asked ourselves. It's something that we can all relate to. You know, what is after this life? What do we have to look forward to in our afterlife? And the God Butcher basically makes the choice that he's going to defy them and he's going to destroy them, that their existence is a plague upon the universe. But that was the first act. Yeah. They have designed this as a 3-act play in a comic form. So the first act was this God Butcher.
One thing I will say, and this is not even a negative criticism as much as it is like, I guess like a healthy skin. But he's developed a format where I'm like, what is it, 8 issues in, 9 issues in?
9, yes.
It's right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's up there.
Yeah, 9 issues in. 9 issues in, we have gotten this format where it's like, old Thor, current Thor, oldest Thor, young Thor, current Thor, old Thor.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same story. And I'm wondering, I'm just really curious to see, after this arc is done, after this story, The God Butcher, is done, what next? Because this is like, what a way to start a book.
Yeah, and
like, I can't even
9 issues in, and it's phenomenal. Yeah, I don't know how you top it.
Honestly, I will venture to say that this is going to be one of those books that we're like, what? You haven't read the God Butcher story arc?
Yes.
Like, you haven't read Jason Aaron's first run of Thor? Like, it's that good. Like, I think it will be one of those.
It created some really amazing conversation when it first started, because you know, you're treated to this story of the God Butcher killing gods, and for some reason Thor continues to evade the God Butcher's justice, if you will, lives on. I mean, we see him in the far future. That raised some interesting questions. I had a conversation with a guy who said, you know, what if the God Butcher is the dark side of Thor manifest physically? Which was a very interesting idea, and I mean, that's not what we got, but that was still a conversation that you know, love to have, you know? Just the speculation about where they're going with this story. But they're well into Act 2 now. 3 issues in, 7, 8, and 9, and
it's picking up.
Phenomenal.
It is good. Yeah, like it's got me on the edge of my seat, and there's not a lot of books that can do that for me. Like,
especially out of a Thor book. I mean, that's just something that's unexpected.
Yeah, for me, it's like okay, a Cape book can do this. Like, there's a few that do that, and it's like. And they all do it in different ways, too. Like, Thor, Batman, and Hawkeye are the main ones. New Avengers as well, New Avengers. I'm always curious to see what's going on with New Avengers, but Thor is one of the few superhero books where I'm like, I can't wait for next month. I have to know what happens. Absolutely,
yeah. So. It definitely leaves you on the edge of your seat every time. But Thor, God of Thunder, the first 5 issues have been hard to track down. In single issue form, so pick it up 1 through 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 we can easily get. They're doing second printings on them.
Not hard to find.
Yeah, not hard to find at all. So if you want to get the first part of the story and then get into the rest, we can definitely help you out there. But so yeah.
I have a question.
What's up?
Which Thor do you like the most out of the 3?
Old Thor.
When you say old Thor, do you mean oldest Thor? Like
like the future Thor.
Like All-Father Thor?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would say the reason I like the All-Father Thor the most is because he's the one we've never seen before.
That's fair, that's fair. I really do like young Thor because it's just like...
He's inexperienced.
He's super...
He gets the crap kicked out of him.
He's ultra hedonistic. Like, he's like...
Oh, yeah.
He's teenage Viking Thor.
Well, you have to remember, like, within the confines of the Thor story, he learned humility in between the young version of himself and the version that we know in the present day. You're seeing him as a Viking. I mean, you're seeing him
and it's awesome.
Surrounded by naked women and drinking ale out of big flagons, you know, like he's just the hedonistic Viking that he should be.
Anyway, read it. I just wanted to know Jason's opinion on that. Yeah. But I would say I'm torn between young Thor and All-Father Thor.
Yeah. Sure. Like I said, I like All-Father Thor because there's so much story that we don't understand. One of his arms is literally the arm of the Destroyer. They don't ever explain why that is. It's just something cool. It just looks awesome. He's got a metal arm, you know?
It's awesome.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, Batman 21 came out this week. 0 Year is a big event. It's spanning the next year of Batman stories. So that's a lot to get into on an issue-by-issue basis.
Yeah. I think we should do it as a special. Like, this is our 0-year special. That's all we review.
That's what we're going to do. We're just, and we'll do that with other events as well. You know, some of the big events. The God Butcher, honestly, when the God Butcher story is done, I would love to talk about that as a whole, just to get a feel for, you know, get some different opinions about how it all ended and how it all came together. I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to also plug the book club. We have selected our book for this month. It's V for Vendetta. Yep. So when we've ordered a bunch of copies. When we get them in, we'll set a date for our next book club meeting. So, yeah. Got some good stuff coming up. Be sure to check it out.
Keep your eye out on our Facebook page about the book club. We will set a date and let everyone know when that is. And it should be awesome. V for Vendetta is a great book.
Yeah. If you don't know, it's facebook.com/fantasyshopflow. So check it out. So that brings us to the end. We will see you next week.
Good day. And cut.